Hello there, beautiful people, friends and family. A very warm welcome to you all. I hope you're well and doing fantastic. Today we're going to make homemade chicken stock or chicken broth. How refreshing, how satisfying is it to know exactly what ingredients went into its preparation because you did it yourself. And the bonus here, friends, is you can pretty much use this broth for anything you can think of. Your rice dishes, from your pilafs, your jollof rice, your pilaus, your biryanis, your fried rice dishes. You can also use them as part of your soups to get the broth in there. It's also to thin up your sauces. You can use it in your stews. You can even make gravy out of it. It's just so versatile. It's great to have this in your fridge or freezer. I am very happy to share this recipe with you today, actually really excited. Let's begin by washing our hands.
So friends, I have some chicken leg quarters I bought a while ago. Clean them and store them in the freezer. Just took them out. They're still frozen, but that's okay. Now, because it's chicken leg quarters, there is about 10 to 15% bone and the rest is meat. So this is more on the broth side of things than more stock. You get stock out of bones and the broth come out of the meat, all right? So it's a combination of both. Now, I have 6.5 pounds of chicken leg quarters and I've added 1 large onion with the skin on, obviously washed thoroughly first. Added 3 large carrots to it, and now I'm going to add this bulb of garlic. And to make way for maximum extraction of these flavor boosting vegetables, you want to cut them open. Leave them whole, but at least cut them open so that you're able to extract as much as possible in terms of the flavor. I've also added 1 ginger. It is about 3 thumb sizes. I've added some celery. Everything used here is listed in the description box below in detail, so please check that out. And here I have some leeks which resemble spring onions or green onions in flavor, and they're just slightly more dense, and it's important to cut the bottom off so that you're able to separate the layers. See all that dirt in there? You want to clean it. The easiest way to clean leeks is to cut them into thin rings. Separate the rings in a bowl of water and add a sprinkle of flour to it, and you will see all the dirt just descend to the bottom of that bowl of water. Now in this case, I'm trying to leave my ingredients in their whole form so that way I'm able to remove them easily when everything is done and come together. All right, so I tie it up with a butcher's twine, and then in the pot it goes. Now I have some parsley. This is the curled leaf. The flat leaf will work well too, but if you do end up using the flat leaf, you want to use less because that's stronger. This one is a lot milder. Now I had some fennel left over from my previous chicken recipe, and I just froze it. Now I've removed it and added that too. That licorice flavor it imparts will be great in this broth. Now I also have my trio in terms of the herbs. I have my rosemary, sage, and thyme. These will work so great with your chicken broth or stock. That goes in there as well. Now I have some spices. So I put them all in a cheesecloth, beginning with the fennel seeds, some more licorice flavor. Works beautifully with meats, especially chicken. And I have a combination of white, black, and red peppercorns. All that goes in there as well. You want that kick of spice in there. It just really brings everything together. It's also a great way to boost flavors in your stocks and broths. Now, because this is homemade, friends and family, you get to also control how much sodium you actually add. And so I have some sea salt. I'm adding just a little bit, and I'll be mindful of the fact that there is already some salt in here. So when I incorporate the stock or broth in my dishes, I know exactly what to do. Now, the pot I'm using is a 21-quart stock pot. So I'm adding just enough water to get it to cover all the ingredients in there. It is a huge pot, so keep that in mind as well. You will need a big pot for this. Otherwise, you'll have to make some adjustments to the amount of ingredients you end up using. I've placed it on medium heat with the lid on and brought it to a boil. And once it comes to a boil, you want to remove the lid and try to re-submerge all the ingredients that are trying to float, if at all possible. You can tell I'm having a little bit of a hard time trying to do that because they have kind of soaked in some of that moisture. They will release it eventually, but we're going to cook this down until it is very concentrated and rich. We have our mirepoix in there, which is a combination of your onions, your carrots, and also your celery. Those are must-have ingredients in terms of vegetables that boost flavor in a stock or broth like this. You must have those in there. And then add your favorite herbs and your vegetables. All right, so don't limit yourself. If you want to add more, you can. If you want to make adjustments, if you want to omit some of the ingredients I used and replace them with your favorites, totally go for it. What we're making here is a light chicken broth, more on the broth side of things. I will bring you a recipe where I share with you how I make my stock using all bones. So stay tuned for that as well. See how the color has changed? It has been cooking on medium heat with the lid off and has now concentrated and reduced. It cooked for 2 solid hours, and here it is, done. I'm removing the meat, separating that because I will use the meat. I will take the skin off and obviously the bones as well, shred it and make something for the children with it. Now these vegetables here, I'm going to put into the food processor and turn them into a puree, which will in turn be used as an organic thickener for my dishes in the future. Now your broth should be free of bigger chunks of vegetables and meat, so now you can pass the rest through a strainer to catch the rest of the edible debris. Edible because I will be adding it to my puree to thicken my dishes in the future. Now here is the broth. That is a very good color on a light chicken broth. Now, beautiful people, thank you so much for watching to this point, but keep on watching because I think you want to stay to watch and see what I did with some of this broth. You will hopefully find it inspiring. So everything is strained. There is quite a bit of fat on this chicken broth. So we're going to place the broth in the fridge for just a couple of hours or until the fat on it solidifies. We'll separate that and we'll have pure, organic, very tasty chicken broth. And I'll also show you how I store it. So here it is after a couple of hours. Easy to remove that fat, which we don't need. So I actually discarded this. However, if you want to keep it and use it to cook something later, you absolutely can because it is flavorful. Now you know you have yourself a good broth when it is jiggly after it has been refrigerated. And this is jiggly. You'll see. So I have these 16-ounce containers, they're plastic, because this is now cooled down. It is safe to store them in. They are great for freezing, for refrigerating your leftovers and things like this, such as broths. All right. So see how it has congealed and become jiggly. This is perfection. These lids are airtight, so you do not ever have to worry about spillage, and also the flavors will be contained and there will be no exchange of flavors while it stores in the freezer or fridge. Now I took one of them and heated it up in a pan on the stove, and now I'm just going to use it as a broth for my vegetables, and also some Sicilian bass that I pan-seared on the skin side so it became nice and crispy with just 3 prawns. I used a little salt to taste with crushed black pepper and some smoked paprika, and there it is. I have some purple cabbage and some scallions. I also have some chilies and some sliced onions, and here is that broth. I didn't need to add any more seasoning to it because we did add salt to our broth, and I did season my protein in there, and this was so good. It went down so well. It was quite satisfying. I really enjoyed it. So this is just another way of using this broth besides using it to cook as your base for your soups and stews or your rice dishes. You can use it like this as well. Just heat it up and there you have it. I also added some Ghanaian chili oil known as shito, and it even boosted the flavor more. I thank you all so much for watching. It is chalk time. I hope you enjoyed yourself. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and make it a great day and have fun, especially in that kitchen.